Okay, no.
Hello.
Hola a todos, bienvenidos a las charlas de la ADF. En esta ocasión, Charla Lucarela y Matías Mesa. Entrevistamos a Alma Har'el, una gran directora que nos está saludando ahora desde Estados Unidos. Hi Alma, how are you?
I'm good, Mati. How are you? You know, surviving this plague and this revolution that's happening at the same time in the U.S.
Yeah.
Acá peleando esta plaga y esta revolución que suceden simultáneamente en Estados Unidos. So I'm going to be translating and asking questions, and Carla is going to be mainly talking to you in Spanish so I can translate and get everybody on the loop.
And I'm going to be enjoying and taking it all in, all of this beautiful Spanish. It's my dream, my favorite language.
A Alma le gusta mucho el español y va a disfrutar mucho del español.
It's going to be very difficult to me not to speak in English, and I'm already doing it. Es muy difícil para mí no hablarle a Alma en inglés, igual ya estaba empezando a hacerlo. Voy a tratar de hablar en español para que todos puedan entender lo que decimos. Ya lo dije, ¿no?
Sí, en español y en inglés.
Bien, perfecto. Bueno, voy a empezar en español con la primera pregunta que pensamos para Alma, que tiene que ver con Honey Boy, su última película, y lo que queríamos empezar a hablar es cómo llegó a vos este proyecto. Sabemos que no sé, para el que no la vio, es una película muy autobiográfica, protagonizada por la persona que la escribió. Entonces queríamos saber cómo llegó a vos este proyecto.
We're going to start with Honey Boy, and we want to know, how did this project got to you, being written by Shaya and being
very graphical. I kind of understood everything she said, except the last thing, the last sentence I didn't understand.
¿Cuál era tu última frase?
The question itself.
That we know you already knew Shaya and you had worked with him.
Okay.
And how was the process?
Okay.
Because it's something that he wrote himself, and in some moment it became a script, and in some other moment it came to you.
Yes. So Shaya, I made a documentary film 9 years ago. It was called Bombay Beach. Actually, I spent all of yesterday with the kid from Bombay Beach, Benny, who was 7 years old when we made the film, and he just turned 18 last week.
Wow.
And yesterday we celebrated all day in the desert with masks.
Let me translate this.
Okay.
Todo empezó hace muchos años con Bombay Beach, un documental que ella hizo, y justamente ayer pasó todo el día con Benny, uno de los protagonistas, el niño protagonista, que ayer cumplió 18 años, y estuvieron en el desierto con máscaras.
That film also is centered around a kid who has a father who is alcoholic. Actually, it's one of the stories in it. And Shaya saw it, picked it up at Amoeba Records and saw it years ago when it came out and contacted me.
La historia es acerca de un chico cuyo padre es alcohólico, dentro de las otras historias que suceden, y Shaya encontró la película, la vio y la contactó.
So we kind of formed the relationship. We met, we realized we both have a lot of similar things in our very different childhood, because I'm from Tel Aviv, and but we both grew up with a father who was an alcoholic and had a lot of things in common, I guess.
Ambos automáticamente empezaron a conversar y se dieron cuenta y encontraron muchas similitudes en su crecimiento. Si bien ella creció en Tel Aviv, ambos vienen de una historia de un padre alcohólico y de relaciones complicadas.
And you know, after he executive produced my second film, and we became really sort of like art, you know, filmmaker, brother, sister thing where we share everything, you know, like everything I do, I would send him, he sends me. And then when he got arrested and court ordered to go to rehab and he wrote the script, he sent it to me from there when it was still in the first stages, just the father and the son in the room, you know, talking to each other, but all the heart of the film was already there, and we started working on it.
Shaya me ayudó a coproducir mi segunda película. A partir de ahí nos convertimos en film buddies y empezamos a trabajar en historias hasta el momento en que él cayó arrestado y fue obligado a ir a rehabilitación, y en rehabilitación empezó a escribir Honey Boy y me compartió las primeras escenas de Honey Boy de ellos dos juntos, y desde ahí empezamos a trabajar en el guión.
Okay, so you've been part of this story from the very beginning. That was something that we couldn't see that. So you were working with him in this video clip of Sigur Rós. That was how long before that?
Trabajaron juntos en todo ese periodo. ¿Y a cuándo habían trabajado en el videoclip de Sigur Rós?
So when he saw Bombay Beach and reached out to me in 2000, I think 11 or 2012, kind of right around there, we met for dinner and in LA, and he was just like, what do we do? Let's do something. And I was just like, the only thing I was doing was a Sigur Rós music video. So I said, I'm doing a music video. He said, oh, I'll do that. So I went home and I wrote the script, which I think was very inspired by our conversations about, you know, love and pain and abuse and the kind of relationships we saw as children and a lot of things like that. And I think 3 weeks later, we were shooting the video.
Empezaron a conversar acerca de hacer algo juntos y se juntaron en el 2012 a almorzar en Los Ángeles. Y fue como, bueno, hagamos algo ya. Y lo único que estaba haciendo eran videoclips de Sigur Rós. Y ella fue a su casa y empezó a escribir una historia sobre abuso, sobre maltrato, sobre las relaciones. Y a las 2 semanas estaban filmando.
Yo estuve viendo tus películas, ya había visto Honey Boy y estuve viendo las otras 2 películas estos días, antes de la entrevista, y me llama la atención que hay como unos personajes que se repiten de alguna manera, como el personaje de un niño masculino, es como el centro de todas tus historias. ¿Con qué tiene que ver eso para vos?
I've been watching your films and I found that it's always about a boy, and it's usually the main character. It's a boy in that situation. How does that relate to you?
I think I was a boy, you know, when I grew up.
Yo fui un niño cuando crecí.
Yeah, I was a boy for a very long time. And yeah, I was a boy and I had a strong relationship with my father, both as a boy and as a girl, but I was much more identified with the boy part of me until very, very late in life, where I started to feel like a woman. Was really, really late. I mean, like, I think, and very much also just, or maybe I wanted to be a boy, you know?
Uh-huh. Yo fui un varón cuando crecí en la relación con mi padre. Fui un varón y no fue hasta mucho más adelante en mi vida que empecé a sentirme una mujer. A lo mejor es por eso. Quizás hubiera querido ser un varón.
Yeah, maybe more like in my 20s is like more discovering 15, 20, yeah, like 20s, discovering the woman part, but only through the eyes of men, in a way, not really who I am.
Cuando tenía 20 empecé a descubrirme como mujer, pero siempre a través de los ojos de un hombre, nunca quien yo era realmente.
Yeah, and I think in my childhood, just to add one more thing, is that, yeah, my childhood, I feel like it was very much my father, when I was born, when my mother was pregnant, he gambled a lot of money that he's going to have a boy.
Wow.
And he obviously lost all of it, which we got in a lot of trouble because of it. And I don't know. I think I grew up with that mythology a little bit, you know.
En mi infancia, antes de que yo nazca, cuando mi madre estaba embarazada, mi padre apostó mucho dinero a que yo iba a ser un varón. Y perdió mucha plata y tuvimos muchos problemas por eso. Pero evidentemente la identificación con un varón o ser un deseo de un varón estuvo muy presente.
Es muy interesante pensar en este momento en que se habla tanto y se discute tanto acerca de si el cine hecho por mujeres, qué pasa con el cine hecho por mujeres, que hay tan pocas, que los personajes si son femeninos, si son masculinos, si es sobre mujeres, si es para mujeres. Me parece interesante esta forma de abordar los personajes que vos tenés tan binaria.
It's a very binary way of approaching characters. Nowadays, it has been very discussed about films made by women, with women characters, with male characters, or made by men, and all the fact that we're discussing every day. It's been talked every day.
Yeah, I mean, I really suffer from I guess it's really, I had a conversation about this today, that I have two hats, or two like hands in the world working, right? And like one of them is of the activists, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, the person who has free the work, the person who wants to find answers, the person that wants to believe that the only way sometimes to convince people that we have to have more representation so people will have more insight into their identities and who they are and the questions they ask themselves is by putting behind the camera different people and not only tell stories through the eyes of men like we used to. If you want to translate.
Yes. Hoy llevo dos sombreros, llevo la directora y llevo la persona que lleva Free the Work, y todo el tiempo estoy expresándome acerca de una persona detrás de una cámara contando una historia y no necesariamente el ojo de un hombre contando una historia, sino una persona contándola.
And as an artist or filmmaker, storyteller, I think my role is not to find answers, but to ask questions. So the questions are still a work in progress. I don't know. I find out about my own, on my own blind spots and my own questions about identity, or why do I identify with a little boy, or why am I making this film or not? Like, those are the questions, and it's important that I keep them separate from me. For some people, their activism and their answers for the problems are very much gracefully integrated with their art. For me, it's very separate.
Hoy, mi rol principal is to make questions, right? That's your main role right now.
I think right now, yeah, like for the artist part is to ask the questions inside of me, not to impose answers.
Hoy mi rol como artista es hacerme las preguntas y no necesariamente buscar las respuestas, pero sí hacer las preguntas para que las respuestas vayan encontrando su camino.
And then maybe some honesty can come out of it, of me saying, hey, why am I telling a story of a little boy again? Instead of saying, and then trying to answer that honestly, instead of saying, no, I only have to do women's stories. Like, women only do women's stories, men only do men's stories, black people only do black stories. No, like, give everybody an opportunity, like, to do what's in their hearts. I mean, there are black people that I'm sure can tell incredible stories of every race and bring perspective to it, not just black stories.
Sí, una cosa, perdón.
No, básicamente que todos tenemos que hacernos las preguntas y que cada uno tiene que encontrar una respuesta, que no necesariamente el ojo de una mujer va a contar historias sobre mujeres, o el ojo de un hombre va a contar historias sobre un hombre, o el ojo de una persona negra va a contar historias sobre personas negras. Que todos tenemos una respuesta y todos tenemos una historia que contar, sin importar quiénes seamos.
Hablando de historias que contar, yo lo que veo en tus películas es un eje constante, donde por un lado se mezcla la realidad y la ficción, como hablábamos estos días con Mati, lo fuerte que está en todas tus películas el tema de dónde se mezcla la realidad y la ficción, y donde el tema finalmente que atraviesa a todas es en realidad el amor.
We're talking about how there's a line between documentary and fiction, and in your movies it's always like sort of erased or merged, but ultimately the stories are about love in the end, by whatever means it is, a mother, a father and a kid, or but it's always about love and trying to find that love.
Yeah.
Sobre lo que decíamos de la ficción y la realidad, es como hay en una película completamente de ficción como es Honey Boy, catalogada como ficción, se puede rastrear muy fácilmente en lo documental que en realidad es, y en películas como Love True, que es un documental, tiene muchísimas escenas que se nota que están ficcionadas y están puestas de modo tal que uno las vea como ficcionadas a propósito, digamos.
It's very clear that on Honey Boy there's so many scenes that are so real and so true and so well played and executed that they seem like a documentary, while in Love True they're the opposite. Right. Like there could be documentary moments but staged as a fiction, and you can definitely tell that that's different from a documentary moment in that film.
Yeah, I think that I'm interested in love, but in the expressions of how we perceive love, how we receive love, but also the way that having our own voice or finding self-expression in some sort of way, and it could be through the act itself of dance or making a film or participating in psychodrama or portraying your father, you know, all of those things, like how self-expression can be medicine for those who, you know, are searching for love.
Me interesa contar una historia sobre el amor, pero sobre todo me interesa que a través de las expresiones, el psicodrama, la actuación o una película, uno pueda encontrar su propia expresión de lo que es el amor, y cómo encontrar ese amor. Should we watch the Honey Boy trailer? Because many people hasn't seen it. Because it's not available in Argentina.
Oh, really? On Amazon it's not available?
Amazon catalog is different in the US than what it is in Argentina, so many people haven't seen it. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's going on my face as I'm seeing it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But now it starts with a great scene that we did of the explosion of the what was it? Shoot. Transformers. I was gonna say RoboCop.
Yeah, kind of a homage to all of these films that treat people like they are marionettes, you know. Very kind of wanted to capture my inspiration for this film, which was a little bit Pinocchio, you know. And like how a boy that wants to be a real boy, but is always a little bit hanging on a harness and being operated by his father or Hollywood or so. And he's a liar. His nose grows all the time, so everybody can see he's a liar and he's a mess. So I thought it was a really good metaphor.
Es mi homenaje a las películas y a cómo el personaje se siente una marioneta, un títere de su padre, de Hollywood, tanto en Transformers como de niño. Siempre es una persona en un arnés colgada siendo manejada, ¿no? Le crece la nariz cuando miente, algo muy propio del personaje.
Sigue, ¿no? Sí. Bueno, acá hay un pequeño. We have a little delay with between this transmission, we our call and the transmission to Instagram. So,
Okay.
now so we have to translate something. No.
No, somebody's asking if Honey Boy was the story of Shia, and yes, it is. Sí, Honey Boy es la historia de Shia LaBeouf y su padre y su madre.
Yeah, it's the story of Shia. It's based, I don't want to say loosely, but it's very much like, some of it is very much his story. It's also the story of Otis, you know, which is the fictional character in the film. So it's, again, like you said before in my work, a bit of a blurring of those lines between something that is very autobiographical, but also something that ultimately is maybe more of about the themes in it too, you know, and exploring them through with these amazing actors, Noah Jupe and Lucas Hedges, who brought Otis to life and brought a lot of their own story into it too. And we definitely, I think, in the writing process, allowed for a lot of the actors to make changes to the script, including Byron Bowers, that played the roommate of Lucas and rewrote his whole part to kind of tell the story of his cousin who was in prison at the time. So really there was a lot of freedom from Shia to take the story and do something with it. I think Shia is the most concerned with performance, you know, like his most neurotic part of his being is about having a false moment as an actor and not being like, he's really like terrified of it and terrifying sometimes about how much death is burning in him to get that right. But in terms of controlling the story, he never came even to the set when we filmed The Rehab, and he never came to the editing room even once until I finished editing. So it was a lot of freedom to tell the story.
Sí, vagamente es la historia de Shia, pero es la historia de Otis, que es el personaje hecho por Lucas Hedges y Noah Jupe, que hacen un gran papel interpretando a Otis. Básicamente Shia es un actor que se ocupa mucho de su actuación y no se metió tanto en la historia, si la historia era o no era fidedigna a su pasado, sino que se concentró mucho en su actuación. Está el personaje de Byron, que es el compañero de habitación en rehabilitación de Lucas, que a su vez está inspirado en el personaje del primo de Shia, que estaba en la cárcel en ese momento. I can't remember all the words.
Sí. Más o menos eso. Otra de las cosas que estuvimos hablando o pensando es cómo fue el tema de la improvisación. Nosotros tuvimos una charla con Natalia y nos contó sobre cómo trabajaban con la improvisación con la cámara y queríamos saber un poco cómo lo trabajaron, digamos, fue esto desde el lado de la dirección, cómo trabajaste con Shia con respecto a las partes improvisadas.
We had a conversation with Natasha about the process of making the movie, and we were talking about the improvised moments. Mm-hmm. And how did you, as a director, sort of decided upon the improvised moments that would come up?
I don't know that it was like, as you know, because you were there, I don't know that it was like a decision, like so much as it was like going with the flow of it and like sometimes like drowning and reaching for a solution. So it was really like, I think I come from documentary, so it's my first scripted film. I definitely wanted to capture the immediacy of like things just happening and like following them and like being in the room with people. I didn't necessarily know how to explain that to Natasha, by the way, probably before, of like how much I would want of that. And that was probably one of the biggest challenges for her, because she came in and she was like, I thought we're doing this and putting this light here, and then I was like, yeah, but now we're not doing that. Now we're going in and we're just following. She, like, it was really hard for everybody to get used to each other, I think, sometimes in those moments. And Matti was, by the way, a very soothing force sometimes, and like making it happen. And sometimes Matti and me would just operate together, like take a camera, go into the room and follow it and do 2 cameras and cover it, because I really wanted to, and Shia really wanted to, get what he saw in Bombay Beach, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Básicamente es lo que más natural me salía de alguna manera, y es lo que de alguna manera yo quería siempre, que es tener un poco ese espíritu de la improvisación, y que en algunos momentos a lo mejor fue un poco complicado salir de la estructura de dónde se prepara cada cosa o lo que vamos a hacer, cuando de repente se transformaba en ya no vamos a hacer eso, sino que vamos a hacer otra cosa. Pero bueno, el trabajo que hicimos entre los 3 tuvo que ver con eso, tuvo que ver con que Alma agarraba una cámara, yo agarraba la otra y hacíamos determinadas cosas, y ya decidí improvisar otra cosa, y íbamos y acompañábamos y tratábamos de capturar un poco el espíritu de algo que tenía mucho Bombay Beach llevado a esta película, que era esa espontaneidad, ¿no? I thought that really happened, and that was really accomplished, right?
Yeah, really accomplished, thanks to both Natasha and you. And like, I think like I come from this like world where I'm the only person shooting, you know, and in my documentaries, and then in commercials it's a totally different world. But like in my documentaries, it's just me and a camera, so I do whatever I want, you know, and I follow my instinct in the room and in the moment. And then to try and translate that into a set was really hard. And Natasha came up with this whole solution of like lighting it and controlling the lights with Wi-Fi and iPads from her Vortex, and Matti lended his beautiful hands and his heart and his eyes to try and get into my head. And so and sometimes I would just pick up the camera and close the door and be alone with them and do it, and we just all kind of played it by ear every day to find the right amount of reality and the right amount of dramatic lighting.
Sí, estuvimos trabajando los tres. Natalia ideó varias soluciones para poder trabajar de esta manera, con las luces y controles inalámbricos que tenía en su Vortex, que era su monitor y su pequeño lugar oscuro donde ella manejaba la imagen como una especie de DJ, y la cámara a veces la tenía yo y hacía lo que había que hacer, o a veces la agarraba Alma, cerraba la puerta y sucedía todo un momento donde ella y Shaya buscaban lo que querían hasta encontrarlo, y había mucha libertad en ese proceso.
And I would add to that the greatness of Natasha Breyer and Mati and everybody that worked on this is that I was also really adamant to get very stylized moments, you know, like that would kind of give us this cinematic world, like the opening shots and all of those things that felt like more like, you know, cinema, planned out cinema, right? So that was the cool thing for me, is to go between those worlds, you know.
Y una de las grandes cosas que se pudieron hacer con Natalia, yo y el resto del equipo fue lograr ese medio adicional de juntar lo improvisado y lo espontáneo con algo pautado, algo visualmente muy cuidado y algo muy cinematográfico, ¿no?
Una cosa que,
por ejemplo.
Una cosa que no dijimos, y por ahí igual ya se habrán dado cuenta, lo habrán deducido, que mucha gente puede llegar a no saber que Matías fue el camarógrafo de la película de la que estamos hablando, sino que no lo dijimos.
She's trying to find that I was the camera operator in that film. I don't know if many people knew that.
That's what?
That I was the camera operator on Honey Boy.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot.
We didn't mention that, but we assumed that people knew that who were here.
Oh, okay, yeah. Of course.
Bueno, y de ahí...
Mati saved many days on set.
Dice, yo salvé muchos días. And Alma is my new agent. Y Alma es mi nueva agente en este momento.
Bueno, de ahí podemos pasar a una pregunta o un comentario que teníamos, algo de lo que nos gustaría hablar, que era el hecho de que en las películas anteriores, en los dos documentales, ya comentó Alma, ella misma, vos misma fuiste la directora de fotografía y camarógrafa de la película.
The thing that we want to talk about is that in your two prior movies, you were the cinematographer, you were the photographer and cinematographer, basically.
Well,
putting both hats.
Quisiéramos comentar algo de eso, o saber que si en algún momento pensaste en tener una carrera como directora de fotografía, si te consideraste fotógrafa. Una sensación que yo tengo con todas tus películas es que es un acercamiento muy fotográfico el tuyo a la forma de contar.
I wanted to know if at some point, having such a stylized eye for what you were doing on your prior films, did you ever think about a cinematographer career in your path?
No, I don't think I want to do cinematography for other people so much, because I don't think I am good so much at being flexible. I think that I am good at executing a certain thing that I see or a feeling, but I don't know that I will find it so easy or interesting, or I don't know that I would do a good job of that. I think that it takes a very specific kind of eye and vision to come into different kind of films and finding the right language and vision for them with the director. That's a totally different art form than what I do. Yeah.
No, nunca lo pensé, nunca pensé en hacer esto para otras personas que no sea para mí. No sé si podría hacer esto para otras personas poniéndome en la cabeza el lenguaje o lo que quiere otra persona. Sí lo hago para lo que yo quiero.
Se pueden ver mucho los rastros en Honey Boy, se pueden ver mucho los rastros de tus anteriores películas a nivel color, por ejemplo, como el manejo del color y el trabajo con la cámara o con la luz. Se pueden ver los rastros, digamos, como en toda tu filmografía. Algo que por ahí los directores de fotografía estamos más acostumbrados a estar más pendientes de esas cosas.
We can see traces of your 2 prior films on Honey Boy, as far as the framing and even the lighting intention and the search for the visual language. It's very attached to your prior films.
Yeah, it was really hard to do too, because it's like when you're a first-time filmmaker, I think a lot of people assume you don't know sometimes what you're doing, and like Matti was there and he knows how good intentioned everybody was around me to support me, but still a lot of times it was just like, no, you crossed the line, or this is not gonna cut with this, and like, go fix this. And I'm like, I've done movies, I cut them, I shot them, doing, and like, I see the cut. Like, so it was a lot of arguments, a lot of times like that happened because people want you to succeed. They want to set you up for success, and sometimes as a documentary filmmaker, you're a person that lives on scrapes. Do you know what scrapes, Matti?
Yeah, absolutely.
The scrape, I know this scrape is gonna cut with this other shit that we have before. I'm good. People like, no, you cut it.
Dice que mucha gente todo el tiempo trató a lo largo de la película de cuidarla, de que no cometiese ciertos errores, de que le hablaban mucho que cruzaba la línea, de que no iba a cortar una cosa con la otra, y ella siempre expresó que, bueno, ella como documentalista vive de las obras, vive de lo que te tira un momento, no de lo que vos buscás o armás. Entonces ella sabe cuando una sobra va a cortar con otra sobra. Entonces, que está bueno que la gente te quiere cuidar para el éxito. Entonces tratan de protegerte para que te vaya bien. No te dejan que hagas, no quieren dejarte que hagas cualquier cosa en función de que no te encuentres con un problema posterior. I like that.
Matti, I have to stop for a second to say how much I love you. I just want to stop, and I'm like,
I know, I love you too.
I love you, man. Thank you for everything in this film. I miss you.
Me too.
¿Qué más?
Bueno, nos tiramos flores un rato.
Sí.
Dijo cosas lindas, yo le dije cosas lindas.
Yo voy a traducir yo, dijo que lo ama. Bueno, Mati, ¿algo se me está escapando algo? ¿Viste alguna pregunta? Me cuesta un poco seguir la conversación y como el tremita de las dos cosas a la vez. Una pregunta más.
Hay algo que veo. I'm going to translate this question.
Sure.
Algo que veo es que hay algo mucho de las tomas subacuáticas que le gustan a ella. Y que la veo en sus 3 películas, escenas que tienen que ver con el agua. There's something really that seems very appealing to you, and it's underwater scenes and water situations. What can you tell us about that? Because something you repeat in your films and even in some of your music videos.
Right. It's a great question. I was just thinking about it the other day because I was swimming, and I'm like, the cliche of like, it was my birthday last week and I'm Cancer, and I was getting all these people writing me, a water sign, like, and I was like, okay, like, I'm not a very big on astrology always, and like people were writing me this, and I was like, okay, I don't know what it means, but I really feel like we as humans have like all these elements around us, right? Like there's all these elements, right? The element of air and earth and water and fire, right? Like it feels very to me like we need to be in touch with them. Like even like people used to be more in touch with all of them, especially fire. Now we just kind of maybe light a candle here and there or something, or if we live in a war zone, then we definitely see more of it. But it's just kind of, water has always just been something to me that is full of feelings, you know? Like there is a certain kind of feeling inside the water, obviously the womb and all of those things, and the way your body is weightless, you know, the weight of it changes, and I don't know, I just feel like it always comes to me like that sense of needing it.
Dice que la semana pasada fue su cumpleaños y que alguien le dijo, sos de cáncer, el agua es tu elemento. Y ella a lo mejor encuentra la relación de que cada uno tiene con los elementos, con la tierra, con el aire, con el fuego. Entonces por eso uno cada tanto se siente que quiere prender una vela por ahí para tener el color del fuego. Si uno vivió en una zona de guerra, el fuego a lo mejor lo tiene mucho más cercano. Entonces que creo que cree ella que siente que el agua es un elemento que la hace sentir muy bien, que la hace sentir reconfortada, contenida, que sería su elemento, por eso a lo mejor se siente tan atraída a las escenas con agua.
Yeah, I also really love jellyfish. It's like one of my favorite animals. I'm like obsessed with their beauty and movement, and I don't know, they communicate something to me. I'm not really sure what it is.
También le gustan mucho las medusas, nosotros las llamamos aguas vivas, pero que es un animal que a ella la seduce mucho, que le gusta mucho la forma de moverse, que hay algo que le comunica, algo que le transmite las medusas, que se siente muy, muy atraída.
About that, we saw, vimos estos días, y creo que tenemos para mostrar un pedacito, Nati, un comercial que hiciste para Chanel No. 5 hace un par de años, donde son protagonistas estas medusas y este mundo medio paralelo al que alguien entra a través del agua, y un poco lo que hablaba recién Alma sobre el agua. ¿Podemos ver un pedacito a ver si Alma tiene algo para contarnos o para comentar de ese trabajo en particular?
We're going to show a little bit of the Chanel commercial.
Sorry, the video is online. No.
Okay, we're playing a little bit of the Chanel commercial that talks a little bit about your passion with jellyfish.
You know, in Hebrew you say medusa?
In Hebrew you say medusa as well?
Yeah.
In Spanish they might say medusa, but as a general thing we call them agua vivas. That would be like live water.
How do you say it? Agua vivas?
Agua viva, which is like living water.
Wow.
Aqua. It gives you that feeling
so
of
aqua viva, viva like V-I-V-A? V-I-V-A?
Like alive, yes.
Aqua viva, wow. Pretty. Beautiful.
I don't know if the video is going out with sound or without, because I have my phone.
Hey.
Okay. So, Alma, is there something you'd like to tell us about this work?
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm like being like a weirdo with my phone. Suddenly got this message. Sorry that somebody's coming to my house that I didn't know. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, I feel like this is an example of actually a pretty freeing experience, not very typical of commercials, where a brand comes and is like, hey, do you want to express yourself using the world of our brand? It was part of a really cool project called The Fifth Sense, which let women creators do something in a few disciplines.
Dice que le pasó algo que normalmente no pasa mucho en los comerciales, y que fue que una marca se acercó a ella y le dijo, ¿querés hacer algo con nuestra marca y expresarte con nuestra marca? Y fue un proyecto con distintos artistas mujeres en distintas disciplinas. Y se llamó, it was called The Fifth Sense.
It was called The Fifth Sense, yes. It was like on ID magazine, and it was lasted a whole year. They had all these 5 films, each one of them done by a different woman creator in a different discipline. And then through the year, a lot of smaller projects and just covering women's work. It still exists on Vice magazine, I think, and you can check out so many women that have done work for this project.
Fue un proyecto para Chanel que salió en la revista ID. Fue un proyecto en realidad de un año donde se desprendieron muchas cosas pequeñas hechas por artistas mujeres en distintas disciplinas, y hoy pasó a la revista Vice y se puede ver online el trabajo de muchas mujeres en distintas disciplinas, como dije antes.
And it's linked with, like, you know, this idea. It's with Kiersey Clemens and Lisa Bonet. Definitely remember, by the way, using some Natasha Breyer references at the time. I was already a fan. But it had a great cinematographer, and he was, I feel like the cinematography in this is also something that was like kind of between very neon and like set up, but then also a very freeing experience with Kiersey when we would let her dance and do things and visually try to explore, I think, in it like some kind of idea of consciousness expanding, you know, of consciousness expanding and sense of self expanding, things like that.
Dice que usó ciertas referencias de Natasha Breyer para ese proyecto, y que para ella era algo acerca de la expansión de la conciencia. Who was the cinematographer on that one?
I always like say his name possibly not well, so I'm checking right now to make sure that I pronounce it, because I hate to, you know, I want to make sure I say it correctly, and I just give me 1 minute to make sure.
And I'm checking it too, because I have the credits here, but
he's actually amazing. He does mostly music videos. Let me just find it. I feel so bad now. Like you caught
here. Jackson Hunt.
Jackson Hunt. I don't know if you've seen his music videos. It's one of my favorites, like a black and white one. And I remember seeing it. That it was shot like in. Are you familiar with his work?
No, I'm not.
So he has this career that really started mostly in music videos, but very quickly, you know, kind of gotten more into also commercials and things like that. But so he did, like, you know, Beyonce and famous kind of perfume commercials and things like that. But he has, I don't know if he's made any films yet. I'm checking right now to see, but he's working on a TV show now that was on HBO that was directed by Crystal Moselle. If you know her, she's the director, and it's called Betty. It's on HBO, and he shot that.
Okay, no, I haven't seen it.
And like, it's really like he has this way of actually capturing life really fluently and very handheld, but also just amazing framing, and he's a really very, very strong cinematographer. I recommend following him.
¿Cómo se llamaba, Nati?
Jackson Hunt.
Jackson Hunt, director de fotografía que trabaja mucho en videoclips y comerciales, muy visual, y recomienda mucho que lo sigan. Ahora acaba de hacer una serie para HBO y que recomienda fuertemente que lo sigan.
And I really also recommend checking out a music video he did in 2014 for Jake Bug, and it's in black and white. It's shot in the South in America. It's really one of the most beautiful music videos.
recomiendo un videoclip en blanco y negro que filmó 2000, what you said?
I think it's 2014.
En 2014. What was the band again?
Bug.
Jackson Buck?
Jack Bug.
Jack Buck.
I'm gonna check the name of it.
Que es muy bueno.
There is some people asking here in Instagram. I see there's many questions about free the work. If you could start, we can start talking about free the work and how that the previous project that it was Free the Beat. How could you tell us about the whole story, because here in Argentina it's not so known?
¿Cómo empezó el proyecto Free the Work, que comenzó con Free the Beat, que es un proyecto en Argentina no tan conocido, pero mundialmente muy reconocido?
So basically, like, I started, doing commercials at some point after Sigur Rós, the music video we talked about. I started to kind of get opportunity to really direct commercials, and noticed right away how little is the number of I guess women directors, and at the time it was really kind of jarring, and I had to sort of think how I can basically change that within the system, and came up together with another friend, PJ Pereira from another ad agency. We came up with this idea of basically intercepting the process of bidding by asking people in ad agencies and brands to commit that 1 out of 3 people that bid on every job would be a woman. So I did that, and it kind of had a really major success right away that kept it going. I don't know, by the way, if you know Camila Viola, but yes, she is our ambassador in Argentina and Uruguay.
Let me translate that.
Okay.
Empecé a hacer comerciales después del videoclip de Sigur Rós, y realmente me empecé a dar cuenta de cuán pocas mujeres terminaban dirigiendo comerciales. Entonces me junté con PJ Pereira y armamos Free the Beat, que la idea era que 1 de 3 comerciales tuviese que ser ofrecido a una mujer. Y eso es una iniciativa que fue muy bien aceptada. Y hoy, Camila, ¿cuánto es el apellido? Camila
Sapiola. She may be here listening to us.
Camila Sapiola es nuestra embajadora en Argentina y Uruguay.
Camila and I had an Instagram live around 1 month ago. She invited me to talk about female cinematographers here in Argentina.
Oh, that's amazing. So she is a director in advertising, and since then, we have, she's a wonderful director, I should say. And, and she did commercials for Coca-Cola and McDonald's and Apple and all of these companies, and she works with us over there. But really, since then, we have evolved a lot, because I started to really get more also into film and seeing beyond advertising that I could influence in other places, and also to see the fact that fighting for women is not enough, and that is when we changed to Free the Work, we made it really about people of color, men too, and also non-binary folks and trans women and trans-identified in general, and of course people with disability. So it just kind of, the mission grew, and we call it underrepresented creators, not just directors, also script writers and cinematographers and editors and animators. I'll let you try to translate that. That's gonna be
Try.
Yeah. I'll help you.
Bueno, habló muy bien de Camila Jiménez Apiola y que Free the Beat fue transformándose en Free the Work, que representa no solamente a mujeres en comerciales, sino que representa a gente que está subrepresentada. Gente con discapacidades, gente trans, binarios, no binarios, negros, cualquier persona que no esté incluido en una representación tradicional. Ellos hablan de una democratización absoluta del trabajo hacia todo tipo de personas.
Sí, como que la palabra unrepresented sería como que no tiene representación aquí, sería como algo así como que no influye como en las estadísticas, digamos, que hay muy pocos personas de ese tipo de o condición o género o de la razón que sea, o raza, que estén ocupando esos espacios. Y en general son los temas los lugares de los que se ocupa Free the Work son dirección, edición, dirección de fotografía, ¿verdad? Esos tres. Direction, editing, and direction of photography. The three roles that are mostly unrepresented.
Yeah, although again, we also include animators and, you know, we include animators, we include colorists, we include musicians, composers. I mean, it's really growing all the time and becoming bigger and bigger, and our goal is to really represent so many other roles. So it's not limited to just the roles that are that we started with and that are underrepresented. We keep really building full databases of all sorts of roles.
Incorporaron animadores, coloristas, compositores, músicos. Básicamente empezaron a crecer y expandir la base de datos para gente que no entra en las estadísticas, como dice Carla, ¿no? Es algo que crece día a día.
¿Podrías aclarar cómo funcionó Free the Beat? A mí me cuesta entender todavía quién o qué era quien decidía dar como este cupo, digamos, que sería, lo que hicieron fue que de tres en el pitch de 3 personas, una tuviera que ser mujer o diversidad, ¿verdad?
Who did you went to push the idea of every 3 projects during Free the Bid, for every 3 projects to one make sure that it was a woman? Who did you pitch that to? How did that grow?
So when I started first. Oh.
This is like changing the tape.
Okay.
The tape is. Flipping sides.
Sí, Natalia necesita, vamos a cortar, se va a cortar la transmisión en Instagram porque dura solamente 1 hora y hay que cortar y volver a empezar, todos vamos a volver, pero en Facebook Live se mantiene la transmisión, o sea que nosotros seguimos en vivo, no tomamos ningún recreo, pero no podemos hablar de nada interesante que se pueda llegar a perder la gente que nos está viendo por Instagram.
Exactly. Okay, and we're back live. So if you want to tell us a little bit how Free the Bid worked as far as that, how was applied, basically.
I can. I have to say that I have another call that starts supposedly now at 2 o'clock. So I'm a little late to it. By 10 minutes, we just kind of do 1 or 2 more questions and then I have to run. They are waiting. But yeah, like I think it started like I was just alone in my kitchen, actually, literally. And on a laptop.
En mi cocina.
Yeah, and you know, what I did is like together with PJ and a few people I knew that I made commercials for them, ad agencies. Started to send them a PDF of my request, and every time somebody would say yes, would add their photo and their signature and start sending it to other people and say, you see, they joined, you should join too.
Okay, so let me translate that. Estaba en mi cocina sola y hablé con PJ, que es para quien yo dirigía comerciales, y resolvimos que por cada persona que aceptaba la iniciativa de ofrecer un trabajo de 3 a una mujer, poníamos su foto y se lo mandábamos al siguiente. Armamos un PDF que incluía las fotos de todos y decía, si ellos aceptaron, ¿por qué vos no aceptás? Entonces de ahí empezaron a crecer la aceptación de esta propuesta.
Sí, igual, perdón, quiero aclarar algo, que es el modo de funcionar era que no es que les daban el trabajo, sino la posibilidad de competir por el trabajo de alguna manera.
El bid, sí, exacto.
El bid, sí, el pitch sería acá, ¿no?
Okay. So, what happened after that?
No, yeah. What was the effect?
Well, the effect was really like we have been operating for 3 years, so it's hard to say what was the effect right away, but I would say the first time that we understood what we have in our hands was probably when we took HP from 0 women directors on all of their global campaigns to 59%. So it was like in 1 year. So, the database proved to be working really well for people that want to change. And now our partners are Amazon and Facebook and Amazon Studios and, and P&G. And so we have, and Ford. So all of these people make a commitment. Verizon, that on all of their productions worldwide, they do that on every production, and that has been raising the numbers in a crazy way. And now we are kind of working to do that in film and TV too.
En un año pasamos de 0 a un 59%, con lo cual nos dimos cuenta que era extremadamente efectiva la campaña que estábamos haciendo, y hoy tenemos como socio Amazon Studios, Facebook, which one else you said?
Oh, there's so many, like we can.
Hay muchísimos, PNG.
Yeah, we have first of all, we have a lot of partners, also Sundance is a partner of ours too, but we have a lot of partners that are basically P&G, Procter & Gamble, which is the biggest advertiser in the world. On every production they do, they have a pledge to free the work. So one of the bidders has to be an underrepresented creator. I can't tell you how many jobs that have created, it's just, Facebook, we haven't even announced it yet, that they are at 69% this year of all of their work and as a result of also being our partners. Same CMO from HP became a CMO in Facebook. And so the numbers are really astounding of how much it helps to have a database.
Dice que está creciendo enormemente, que este año llegaron a un 69% de gente que antes no tenía capacidad de acceder a estos trabajos. Hoy se están viendo representados por Free the Work y están tanto Procter & Gamble como los otros socios estratégicos de ellos están comprometidos a liberar los bids para estos trabajos a gente de minorías, por llamarlo de una manera.
And those are really our partners. They're founding this too, funding it and helping us fund it and pay for so many people that work for us and that create the content too, because it's not just a database, it's a community of, we make articles, we do all of that. So it's an editorial team. So I really encourage, I have to run because there is a Zoom effect, domino effect of being fuck up a lot of people, so I have to run. But I encourage everybody to go and free the work, and for free, really, there you can open an account and start to discover work of people around the world. We are in 21 countries, including yours. So we hope you join.
Including here. Yeah, I'm going to tell this in Spanish. Aquí tenemos Free the Work Argentina-Uruguay, que es la embajadora sería Camila Zapiola, y también está la plataforma, que esa es la base de datos, que es la base de datos madre en Estados Unidos, donde todo el mundo puede, en este momento somos solamente 4 directoras de fotografía argentinas, pero todas las personas que quieran ser parte de la base de datos pueden entrar y es bastante sencillo de llenar el formulario y estar en esa base.
And Camila has been with us since Free the Bid. She was already on the site when we had Free the Bid. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye now.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Alma, thanks for
Thank
being
you
with
very
us.
much.
Talk to you. Thank you so much for talking to me, both
Thanks
of you.
for talking to everybody.
We do it again one time.
I
Bye-bye.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.